So you make up the fifth person and now we have a quorum. Unlike most committees in town, the select board member of the Commission on Disabilities is actually a voting member of the commission.
Thanks for letting me know that. I was not aware.
Yeah, well, it's way different than anything else.
Your value just went up, Mark.
Right.
Your vote counts.
Okay,
So should I
we-
list him in the minutes? Should I list
Yes.
Mark as a member
yes,
rather than a visitor? Okay.
right. Okay, so we're gonna postpone approving the minutes to the January meeting, and then we'll have two sets of
Whether you're
minutes.
in
Janet has had some really legitimate technical issues, so you definitely get a bye, Janet.
I spent a
Um,
long time talking on the phone to somebody who doesn't speak English yesterday.
Yes.
Oh, that's hard, that's hard.
I found myself yelling and I thought that doesn't solve. the
Yeah,
problem."
that doesn't
make it.
no.
Meltdowns.
All right, so hearing accessibility at the townhouse meeting room. I'm gonna ask you, Jess, do you know if there's any update on?
I have no update, like everybody else, this month's meeting just really snuck up on me.
Yeah.
I feel like we're all
Okay.
just here.
All right.
No, I have no updates.
Okay, so we'll talk about that in January. And the accessibility plan for Concord is Jennifer's project, so we'll postpone that to January.
Okay.
And the snuck up part, I know Janet, you and I were supposed to be reviewing the green cards. And we haven't gotten together to do that, so we'll have to do
I'm
that
free.
in. You know, I won't be able to do it until after Christmas, but we can do it then or first week of January, something like that.
First
We'll
week of
figure out a
January is
time.
fine.
Yeah,
Yep. I have nothing to do over the next 6 months or so.
okay, great.
That's fine.
Okay, so. We have Mark Galius here to talk with us about the Transportation Advisory Committee.
Okay, hello, thank you very much for inviting me here to speak. There's a lot to talk about and I'll try to be concise and, always welcome follow-up questions and, more involvement, et cetera. So the main things I want to talk about are TAC prepared a transportation and mobility vision document. I sent a link to that. I have some paper copies if anybody wants to refer. It might be easier.
Oh, great,
It's so that's one thing I wanted to cover
thank you.
and also give you a little context for why it was created.
Thank you.
And the second thing is,
So, excuse me, do we have a way for Mark to share his screen?
yeah, I should log in.
I can pop. Well, let's see here. Yeah, we could email it to Mark and Mark could share his screen for everybody, or I could.
Let me see if I can join the meeting and then
Oh yeah, that
Share
works
screen.
too.
see if it all should work,
And
right?
then I can give you permission to screen share.
Yeah, so I'm gonna talk a little first and then we'll get
Okay,
that going, see if I can get on the meeting. I should show up,
Let me see if I can give you.
make sure my speaker's off.
I'll make you a co-host, so then you should be able to share.
Okay,
I think you just made Mark Howell the co-host.
Did I?
there's two marks.
Wrong Mark, sorry, I'm demoting you already. Is a moment of power there.
Okay.
Co-host. Yes.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Okay, so, so there's, on a high level, there's three things I wanna, share, with the commission. There's this, transportation mobility vision document that Tech created, and there's some background to that, about why we did it, what we're trying to accomplish. And of course, we're all, because it's a big, covers a lot of ground, we're always interested in how to improve it and what's missing and, how to make actions that follow up on it and produce real results. Second thing I wanna, try to cover is, TAC has a document for a vision for public transportation, and there's steps along the way to try to get some public transportation going in town. The third thing I want to mention, just very briefly, is that at a couple of previous TAC meetings on September twelfth and October tenth, following up on a request from one party to remove certain signs saying walk your bike in Junction Park. I put time on the agenda and there was long discussions about Junction Park signage and safety. And I will send Jean the links to the two videos on YouTube. There's a lot to see and a lot to hear, complicated as you know, but
Right.
we definitely have unfinished work there in terms of the connection of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail from two sides of West Concord Center, and we can't ignore that fact.
Right.
So, I will, open up a presentation that I gave to the, let's see if I can get this. Okay, wait, I have to go first share my screen, right?
Yes,
More,
just co-host, you
share.
should be able to do that.
Which windows? I want to share the whole screen. I guess it's the,
So which document do you have open, Mark, that you want to share?
I don't have it open yet. Let me open
Okay,
it
yeah, I think
first.
you have to open it, and then when you go back to that screen, it'll let you pick
Okay, good.
which window, and that's. the
Thank you
one
very
know.
much.
I know, I still can't figure it out either, unfortunately. I'm not a technology person, I'm lucky I got
I'm a
this.
technology person, but I'm more dealing with electrons and radio waves than,
Oh, yeah, that's.
than
way above-
computers.
That's way above my pay grade.
That's, okay, should be. Okay, so I've opened that, so then
Yeah,
I
so
go
now
share.
when you go in the screen share, you should be able to pick that one
Why is it not showing?
and. Oh, go to the, yeah, there you go,
Okay.
that's the new
Oh,
one.
all right.
Oh, yeah,
this
okay, yeah.
one. Okay, am I showing up?
Yes,
You are.
Great, okay,
Yep,
and let's see, I'm gonna get rid of this. And.
there we go.
And there is a, present, no, there's something that makes it bigger.
Oh, yeah, the little button down at the.
Well, or
That
click
one
on
right there.
slideshow.
Yeah,
Right there.
slideshow.
Oh, yeah, that
Slideshow, yeah.
makes it slideshow that one.
Which one, this one here?
Yep.
Okay, beautiful.
Alright.
Okay, so, I didn't have time to make a special presentation and it's all, good information. So I went to the, what's it doing now? I went to the, to make a presentation to the Economic Vitality Committee, especially talking about public transit and things like that. So, I know why it's not going down, it's because I'm at the bottom of the thing. Okay, so the document that I shared with you, was created because last fall, the town started a comprehensive transportation mobility study, hired a consultant, Stantec. And it was a contract kind of based on planning level analysis of transportation rather than, engineering or implementation level. And it started out, with some, with a survey and public session, et cetera. But these, and was going to continue with more of that kind of broad public input. But what we were seeing was, what we were hearing was, repeating what we had already heard from the public, what we already knew, what was, presented in Vision Concord, where transportation is mentioned 270 sometimes in 274 pages. And so we wanted to, TAC members wanted to really push things more towards something productive of actual implementation of changes that would make benefits for mobility and transportation. And because it's a contract, it's a contract for $100,000, started with the when we had a transportation planner, Aaron Stevens, who has since left. The contracts are administered by staff, not by TAC, but we tried to help shift that, the emphasis of that contract into things that were more focused and more productive of actual, developments and on the ground. And there was a great deal of trouble apparently in changing the statement of work after the money had been allocated, agreement with the consultant. There was originally thought of having a request for what do we call it, RFQ rather than RFP. So to make a long story short, we were not satisfied with what was, that we really get deliverable changes. So after going round and round and round, TAC said, look, we're going to create this document that gives direction that various parts of various departments and town staff, et cetera, can say, well, this is kind of what people want. What are we doing against these different pieces of the goal? So the document, first page on the document, whoops, I don't know why we get this little guy out of the way. Safe and efficient movement of all people within and beyond Concord to their destinations. Let's see, how do I get to the next picture?
Should have an arrow.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, again, it's high level language, but we try to make it 2 pages. Nick Pappas, I don't know if you know Nick, he did a lot of the original drafting of this, and then we kind of fine tuned it, et cetera. Trying to find a common point where something's not 200 pages long and people can read it and you can kind of match things up step by step. Safe mobility for all residents, environmental sustainability, fiscal, historic character, equity, and economic vitality. And these can be defined, I'm not gonna go into all the details right now. We really invite people to look at this. It's posted on TAC's webpage. I'm gonna send, I think I've sent the links. The Transportation Committee is appointed by the town manager and advises the town manager and select board on transportation needs and strategy and stuff in town. It's pretty complicated. That first Stantec contract did the survey in public session at Harvey Wheeler. Some of the high level things that emerged that confirmed other previous work was we need public transit. We need to connect the 2 town centers safely. Route 2's crossing is dangerous. The rotary, people complained a lot about it like that. And cycling needs to be improved. Pedestrian safety needs to be improved, and more frequent and accessible MBTA commuter rail service would be beneficial. By the way, in passing, I've heard, I don't want to jinx it, hopefully it'll happen. Supposedly for the 250th next spring, there'll be at least a temporary accessible platform at Thorold Depot. So we're,
I've heard that rumor too.
Yeah, I was at an event in
We just asserted.
Lexington a few days ago with a couple of high up people in the MBTA, and I repeated the need for that and for permanent accessibility. So the long range plan, this was for the Economic Development Committee, but the long range plan has a lot of things about transportation and how it's needed for many purposes, for workers, for just really important for related to housing and all that. And even the long range plan says action requires committees and departments to analyze economics and lead on the implementation. So we're trying to lead on the implementation. So in the vision document, TAC lists a number of goals, not in any particular order of priority, but road and sidewalk quality, define a level and start getting there. Establish goals and standards for pedestrian mobility, also for bicycles. Parking strategy, that's gonna be a big issue. The planning board has done some things talking about, when, you have a zoning bylaw for a business or a large, housing complex, what kind of, parking is needed, but there's a lot of issues. Some people have talked about how it would be good to, instead of trade off some parking spaces for financial support for public transit in
Mhm.
town, you know, this would be a good trade-off. And people, another thing in the vision is say specify a level of public transit service and a model to create it. Safe designs for roads. And another, item that kind of kicks in here too is, you know, maybe there's a way to, have stores able to deliver, more stores able to deliver to people instead of, you know, everybody having to, you know, run to the store. So I'm not gonna go into too much detail on, some of the other things I was showing, but there is an important item gonna come up at, the next town meeting where in order to, bring the condition of the roads in town to a maintainable condition and a good performing, you know, functional condition, there's going to be a 5-year set of borrowing of something on the order of, I mean, the request is going, not been finalized, but $5 or $6 million of borrowing per year, with the idea that in 5 years, the condition of the roads would be improved to the point where it's much less costly to maintain them. You're not constantly going, fixing potholes, et cetera, and you're not letting things deteriorate into this rapid deterioration mode where the end result is you're gonna have to rebuild the whole road at a much greater expense. So, that, is gonna come up at the, it's gonna come up in public hearings, Public Works and Town Manager and Finance Director is working on, pinning down some, numbers for this. You know, to me, it makes sense if you have important infrastructure, say you have a house and the roof is starting to leak, that's a time when it's maybe prudent to borrow to protect your house by, you know, borrowing to fix the roof. We all know that, people are very concerned about tax increases, et cetera. So I think this is one of the things where road infrastructure affects everybody. Everybody is a stakeholder in transportation, whether you're having people deliver something to your house, you never leave your house or whatever. We all really depend on this. So the pavement management program has certain goals. And in this, tangentially to this are things like improving intersections, drainage, stormwater, ADA compliance, sidewalk crossings, things like this. But one thing that's challenging is traditionally these budgets have been cut, and the question is what is kicked down the road, and some of it is safety improvement. Again, I don't want to go into great detail because there are a few more things I want to kind of go through and put on the table and then have time for questions. But in this vision document, which again is something that time, money, consultants, staff, maybe add-in staff in terms of a new transportation planner or somebody who kind of has comprehensive responsibility for transportation issues in town. Right now, there's no staff member like that. Elizabeth Hughes, the town planner, is acting as the support person for TAC. But she's got her hands full with lots of other things, important things. And the initial contract, after Aaron Stevens left, the staff person in charge of that initial Stantec contract is our town engineer, Steve Ducra, but he's also got his hands full. I was talking to him this morning and there's gas emergency, gas line emergency in the middle of Concord Center, and there's.
They
the
just dug up the
Baker Ave.
brand new pavement.
Yeah, I know, isn't it sad?
Oh,
Well, this is what happens when you don't think long-term. And I was encouraged, some, well, a few months, maybe 6, 8 months ago, when some of us from TAC were going to the FinCom and talking about, we really need to invest fully in the infrastructure. And I was very encouraged that several members said, yeah, we want, 5-year plans, 10-year plans, not year by year. You can't do these things year by year. So moving rapidly, questions about bicycles. How do we accommodate safe passage for bicycles and develop, funding for this? Parking goals and standards, complicated issue. Something I'm gonna go present a little bit more information today on is the desire to implement some kind of public transit service in town. And this is gonna take some time to do, but if we don't start working on it and make progress, it may never happen. Some people have shared with me that there used to be a bus that would take you to Maynard, and that there was.
heard that,
And the MBTA is saddled with debt, sadly. The legislature was originally had that debt, and they threw it back at the MBTA. But there should be a move in this state to really more fully fund the MBTA, because I've heard from some of the MBTA leadership and program leadership. They had a session in Lexington a few days ago with sponsored by a Boston-based organization, nonprofit called Transit Matters. And anyway, they want to do the right thing. They're trying to do the right thing, but they need money. And establish standards for road, feasibility of delivery services, another one. So getting back to public transit, we have there's two things going on. On the TAC website, and I have a copy of that paper too. On the TAC website, there is some like thoughts. There's a document posted on the TAC website, thoughts on public transit, and there are so many benefits. The more you think about it, the more benefits you think of and how important it can be. But there's different ways of doing it. And when I talked to the Economic Vitality Committee, it took a little while for them to kind of pick up, but then they were kind of saying, oh yeah, we tried to hire somebody who lives in Lowell and didn't have a car, et cetera, et cetera. So I mean, there are things that are common sense, they make total sense, but somebody has to pick it up. So what TAC is doing is kind of, throwing the glove down and saying, how do we do this? Other towns, like if you look at screen, Acton has some remnant of a cross town connect service. At the last TAC meeting on December 5th, we had Elizabeth Hughes had invited a couple of people from a company called Transaction Associates, who sort of set up things, and they had administered this Crosstown Connect and involved multiple towns. But I think during the COVID, it got, let's see where this was. Yeah, there was this sort of organization. Supposedly Concord was going to join it, but COVID and other things, I think, threw it off track. So we're kind of back to square one on some of this, but there's some remnants of it. So there's some limited service in Acton that this organization is still doing, but I'm not sure what other communities. However, Bedford has some local transit. Lexington has 4 fixed routes, and I just learned that they've had public transit, local bus service for 45 years.
Wow.
Can be done. And there are 2 regional services that come in from both sides, but we're left in sort of a no man's land here. There's the Lowell, with the like routes and things that go to Burlington and a variety of other places. And there's also a Metro West one sort of out of Worcester. There are companies that do these services, so it wouldn't necessarily be that the town would have to buy, hiring drivers or buy any
Mhm.
vehicles. But it needs to be, we have to keep asking. So, I wanna go back to the Stantec contracts. The first Stantec contract, after the public outreach survey and session, that sort of confirmed, okay, we kind of know what we want to figure how to get some of what we want. And it turned out to be not possible, it seems, to change the terms of the statement of work so that that could handle those issues. So a new contract has been created, which kind of a second Stantec and funded by the town, which is among other things, going to focus on quantifying these pavement management and potentially pavement management requirements, looking at the condition of the roads and what it would cost to bring it up to good condition. Looking at condition of sidewalks throughout the town. Another piece of this will be looking at maybe certain corridors or places where we've heard a lot of complaints about safety. So these, I don't know what is going to be included in there, but there's a Haywood Meadow crossing that we hear about a lot. There's a library at the library, Sudbury Road crossing and the library. There's obviously here in West Concord Center, the beginning of Commonwealth Ave off Main Street, it's a two-way road. But parking both sides, if a truck comes through, it's not a two-way road anymore. And even though there are a lot of challenges, it deserves to be kind of looked at, and everything should be kind of put on the table there. So this second contract is underway and focusing first on the pavement management aspect in preparation for the hearings and things leading to town meeting. So hopefully we'll have some more information about some of this in January. Let me see if yeah, I think I've covered things on the high level, and let me just touch on and obviously moving towards a motion to approve borrowing at 2025 town meeting and explaining to people what you're going to get from this and what you're not, what would be additional money to come up with later, I think is going to be a challenge, because it's easy for people to either think it does too much or think it does too little. So I'm going to close this, escape, get out of that.
Click stop share.
Yeah, that would be good, but okay, good, it's doing that. Let me bring up
Yeah, you
another,
stop sharing, but you can
Okay.
reshare again, it's just all permissions.
Okay. let me just quickly, oh, by the way, I'll mention, because I see around two things here. Another document that TAC created that's posted on the TAC webpage was a response, fairly detailed response to the Mass Department of Transportation and their engineering consultant, VHB, when they kind of sprang on us this Route 2 corridor study that sort of suggested like widening Route 2 certain places and things like that, and didn't include anything about the rotary, and they didn't know about MCI, of course, and all that. But if people have time to look at that response, we put together both some general comments, such as whatever you do, don't separate the two halves of the town more for people.
Right.
And these were things that were missing, like the rotary and all that. And also, I think an important thing, very important thing, that's a very long-term goal, is it didn't take into account anything like mode shift. In other words, if you want people from Devens to come here, why can't we use the MBT? Why can't we use the commuter rail? Why do we have to use Route 2? So there's a lot of things on different levels. So let me go to just a little bit on Junction Park, and then we're gonna have some Let's see. So is there a way to share the whole screen, do you know?
What do you mean, like, what are you trying to share?
Yes,
trying to-
one of the choices there is usually whole screen. It's usually the first one.
Like, which document are you looking to share?
Application windows? Is it, what am I sharing?
You're sharing your.
Oh, beautiful. That's what I want.
That's what you want?
Thanks, Mark. Much appreciated. Okay, so, I want to, if I can show this here. Just really quickly, and again, I recommend anybody who's interested, please look at these, two TAC meeting videos posted on YouTube. One for Concord TAC, Transportation Advisory Committee, September 12th, 2024, and, October 10th, 2024. Because it was pretty extensive discussion, I put more pictures, etc. But the current, plan for cyclists to go from one side of, the railroad crossing and Junction Park and all that, and Commonwealth Ave to the other, is a very twisty, we're not sharing? Wait a minute, hold on.
No, you're up there. What are you trying to?
Let me
The
try
actual
and
document.
make it big.
Oh, I think you have to share this now, because you opened this document, so now you have to share this screen.
Sorry, guys. I was trying to like share, well, I mean, I can do it, go back and.
I think
just-
if you stop share and then open that
Yeah. keep that
historic
open.
map and then share.
Yeah,
Okay, let me try to go,
yep, so there's stop share, you can hit that, oh, I just wanna,
where is it?
it's right,
It's up
you
there.
can see that red bar,
Oh, okay,
there we go.
okay,
Okay, now go back to share screen,
excellent,
and
thank
then
you,
pick, there you go,
okay. All right, so,
there it is.
good, okay, so we have a number of things that don't line up. And I can kind of describe it in words, not necessarily go through too much more, but, the supposed path for cyclists is this one, right? And, there's a number of, pieces of unfinished business. There's a big piece of unfinished business. The signage for cyclists coming from either side does not direct them where to go. There are multiple signs on the pavement and whatever that telling people to, dismount. And there's requests, come through from the Friends of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail to say, we're not comfortable with that. Can you just put up a sign that says something like, take down any dismount signs that are the town's authority and, put a sign that says, slow your pace in this, special place, which is something that is a sign in Acton in a sort of more open park-like area, without a busy intersection or a kind of urban park, more of a, anyway, different place where I think it's appropriate. And here, it doesn't seem to me personally that it tells who is supposed to share, slow down and whatever. Plus, I've heard from some cyclists that, they absolutely, even if you declare a particular path through Junction Park, they don't want to restrict themselves to that. They want to be able to go to the little, set of stores off to the right there. They want to be able to go across the railroad tracks, et cetera. And I also heard from, an active cyclist in town that they didn't really realize this was the path they were supposed to take until I showed this picture, because they thought the correct path was go straight through Junction Park across the railroad tracks and then turn left and connect. And MBTA, there was a fatal accident there in 2015. MBTA has lots of signs they put up about do not ride across here, but it's a major source of confusion. At the south side of Commonwealth Ave, there's a historical sign about the, it says Bruce Freeman Rail Trail, and it says about the railroad, and it shows a black line going straight across through Junction Park and across the tracks and actually straight through the parking lot which is where there was originally that railroad. That's not the Bruce Freeman Trail, but the sign kind of implies to people that that's where they should go. So we have work to do. And anyway, I want to leave time for questions, so, and we can certainly follow up and we'll stop sharing. Was that totally confusing?
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of,
Yes.
a lot of irons in the fire right now.
Yes.
You're looking at parking, you're looking at public transportation, you're looking at bicycle routes and safety. So I think that, you know, as a commission, we're certainly interested in all of those things. Probably public transportation would be the top of the list for us, for our members, and for people with disabilities in general. How can we be helpful? How can we work with the TAC on this?
Okay, well, I think the, let me just mention in terms of lots of irons in the fire. I think that, we are, not trying, you know, we're being selective and trying to be realistic, because, trying to juggle too many things at once, you're not gonna get anything done. So the highest, priority item right now is, supporting this borrowing at town meeting that will, fund actual, proactive, upgrade of, you know, enabling maintenance of the road infrastructure and, this, second Stantec contract, trying to guide that into, useful forms of, you know, analysis of the sidewalk network and, certain, key corridors where we have a lot of shared use of pedestrians, bicycles, cars, et cetera, and trying to come up with some planning level conceptual designs that can be brought to the public so the public can weigh in, you know, to make this crossing safe, we would probably want to do this, or to make it easier for bicycles to travel along here on this road, we would need to do this. Then the public can weigh in and say, oh, we really don't want this or whatever. So that's probably the most thoroughly underway effort. The second most is to start up this public transit discussion in a big way. And it's good you asked for that, I'll mention that, because we are in the course of, and at the next TAC meeting on at 9:30 a.m. Hybrid, Kais Road and on Zoom on December 19th. So next, you know, next Thursday, we're going to try to finalize and approve a document that describes what we would like some of the remaining money from the first Stantec contract to do in terms of putting in one picture, apples to apples, what other towns in the region have done for public transit, what comparable towns have done, what possibilities there might be to join a regional transit or another smaller transit organization. And the idea that I'm thinking about this is that it's a sort of a three-step process. One is it will be very helpful if we can get the consultant to put a lot of these a lot of this information on the table. And then the second step would be trying to select out of this what maybe is more useful for Concord or more achievable, you know, and this also includes what funding mechanisms are. One of, you know, I mentioned earlier in the meeting that you know, requests for exceptions to zoning or approval of certain development plans for larger sites or businesses or residential areas could include as an offset to requirement for parking or something else, or an amelioration of some conditions that there's dedicated funding for public transit. There's also talk about large employers could kick in some money to have all their employees have free passage on local public transit. And there's also a question, you know, in these things about how to build up ridership. And there's many options, but the first step, I think there's 3 stages, you know, one is we need information. And it'd be helpful, you know, town staff doesn't have time to do it, we're amateurs. We're volunteers, and we can put something together, but I don't think it's gonna be really useful to the public, because people will be asking like, well, you found that, but you didn't find that. We need something that's done more professionally. And then the second step, as I say, would be trying to come out of that data with some things that look specifically interesting for Concord, and then the third step would be actually moving to some kind of implementation. So when you ask what you do, try to come to the next TAC meeting on the 19th, or write us a letter in support, individual letters, committee letters. We need to keep pushing this, and I think it's, I see I don't know how long the ramp will be, but I see a real opportunity. I think there's a real need. I had spoken about this about a year ago in the early stages of the comprehensive plan to some of the residents at Peter Buckley Terrace, and then people were very interested. There were a lot of people who no longer have cars, can't drive. They were talking about Council on Aging has certain limitations. The ride, somebody was, I don't know if it's true or not, somebody said, how can I use this for a medical appointment? They give you a 4-hour window.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
so these things, so it's great opportunity. So I think that's the main thing, and we always want input, I think. So, when you look at these documents, you check the TAC webpage, we're trying to make it more user-friendly. And anyone can always reach out to me, or to Elizabeth Hughes, and we'll put things on agenda. People want to show up, and we have public comment, and I try to be very generous.
I have a question, Mark. Could I ask a quick question?
Absolutely, thanks.
So thank you. That was really good. Very interesting stuff. I think actually to the point that Jean just made, I wonder if there's a way we can help. It seems to me that public transportation in Concord is different than public transportation in, let's say, Cambridge. There, we're talking more about the people who need single passenger automobile rides are a different demographic than a bunch of 30-year-olds commuting into Boston. So is there a way we can help? I don't even know what I'm asking exactly. Is there a way to frame the need for public options or group ride options in a way? Or is that part of the data gathering to see what other towns and regions are doing?
I think that's very important, and I think it's sort of complementary to what we were asking consultant. I think that's one of the things that's occurred to me in a number of cases of public action to sort of improve things for the public is there's a role for consultants who know a lot about what's done other places, and there's a role for local knowledge about what is needed here.
Yeah.
And so I think helping compile more detailed local knowledge input about I want to go from A to B, and I want to go at these hours. I mean, again, like, for example, thinking about the when I went to the Economic Vitality Committee, they said they were going to do a survey. I know it's a little different, but they said they were going to do a survey, but they weren't underway to making a survey to businesses about what they wanted. And I know that like sewer hookups are the main thing. They said the limitation on putting in new businesses. But I mentioned to them that, when do you need employees to show up, and how late do they work? And, in a similar way, having some of these services go 9 to 5, well, is that useful or not? For medical appointments, say, and do you want service in the evening to come to the select board meeting, or do you want service in the evening to go to a cultural event? I mean, all of these things because one of the benefits, it may be a little corny, but, you know, sitting with people on the bus or in a shared van or something could potentially be a social benefit
Yeah.
in itself,
Oh,
right?
sure.
And so, I would love to hear, I think it'd be very beneficial to hear more, specific requests for the kind, it would be very informative for the whole process.
Yeah, it might
Because-
help us,
Well,
it might help us prioritize, you know, instead of because it's gonna come down to dollars, right? If
right.
so, if we say, well, you know, we'd love both but it looks like we're gonna get either or, so maybe instead of a kind of a lousy solution for the generic public, we actually get something specific for Concord if it's a question of more frequent, you know, local, reliable transportation or something. Anyway, it might, we'd be happy to, I'm sure, to opine about that.
Yeah, yeah. No,
And
re-
if
real-
I can, if I can
Yeah, go ahead,
comment on
Jean.
that as well, taking off my Commission on Disability hat and putting on my Minuteman ARC,
Mhm,
Pat,
mhm, please.
I think as an employer, we would be very interested in transportation that could connect to other public transportation. Whether that's the MBTA or the bus service in Lowell or Maynard or Acton, whatever. And we're the fourth largest employer in Concord,
Really,
really.
that's super important.
Yes,
That
yeah,
is very important. You know, we have a new economic vitality director, and she's, you know, has a number of times spoken, you know, very clearly that her charter is to focus on, work, employment, economic
Mhm.
vitality, business.
Yeah.
So that is a way these two things can be
Sure.
kind of pulled together.
Sure.
So we can get more force behind it.
yeah. I mean, we have had people who would like to work for us and they can take the train,
Mhm.
but if they're working in our day program, that means walking from
Mm.
West Concord train station all the way down to Forest Ridge Road. It's about 2.25 miles,
Oh, okay.
which is,
In
you
February,
know,
that's not very.
right, or a day like yesterday.
Yes, oh, yeah. No,
So, but something that could connect with that and provide some service, I think, you know, I can say as an employer here in Concord, we would be very interested in that.
those kind of, specific, requests or information, local knowledge information, I think would be very, very helpful.
Yeah, and
Because-
the people that we serve would use that as well,
Mhm, mhm.
to sort of get around town, connect to other places. The ride, if you can manage to work with it, it only goes west as far as Concord.
Doesn't go to Acton
Right,
Really?
you can't take the
There's
ride
so
to
many
Acton, you
places.
can't take the ride to Maynard,
or Maynard, right?
you know.
Go ahead. No.
No, I just kind of building on
Yeah.
what Jean said, I work, I do a lot of volunteer work with Open Table.
Mhm.
And I work with a lot of clients who live in Peter Bulkley Terrace or
Mhm,
Everett
mhm.
Gardens.
Mhm.
And many of them have no transportation, so they rely on us to deliver food. But when they want to go somewhere, I've heard people say, my aide goes here, or, you know, my aide takes me this place and that. So they're not as independent as they could be if they had
And-
some kind of transportation.
And it's very health, you know, it's very important for their health.
Exactly, to get out
And quality of life to get out.
right.
When I was there, again, it was quite a while ago, this staff was also very interested in this concept, you know. So,
Mhm.
so we need to build
There's a
some,
lot of,
Sure.
build some momentum, and the kind of thing that the consultant can do is kind of say, what are these different models cost?
Mhm.
And how are people funding them and all that? And here we're talking about what are the needs, and we need to kind of develop both of these and put them together.
Sure.
So I'd love to have input, or
Mhm.
if people want me to come and, you know, listen to input or whatever it takes.
Okay, well, I'm not personally able to go to your next meeting, I have something else scheduled at that time. But maybe one of the other members, I can send
Sure.
a notice out to other members. who, there might be somebody who can attend.
Okay, and again, written, letters or
Mhm.
whatever, facts on the ground, we're talking, we don't want it to be empty verbiage that says underserved, we want to serve the underserved. But, that's a problem with, again, paying a consultant to do surveys and things like that. It's not a sign, you're missing people.
Right.
Yeah, the survey idea is very interesting, but I think you really need to get to those groups of people because sending out a message saying there's an online survey, obviously well, but people
Yeah.
don't respond.
Yeah,
So you really have to go to those people in
Yeah.
some way to
yeah,
get
we need
that
help with that.
information.
We
Yeah.
need help with getting the facts on
Yeah.
knowing the needs.
Right, right. So for the people that we serve, they likely would not be able to respond
Right,
to a survey or questionnaire.
Mhm.
But if we ask them, they'll certainly talk with
Yeah,
us.
I mean, if there are
Mhm.
any, again, there's, I've become, working with TAC and especially being the chair, I've become very aware of how stretched the town staff is in
Oh,
so
yeah.
many ways. They're doing so many important things. And when we identify these needs to, go out and gather
Mhm.
information, the question is who's
Right.
doing it?
Right.
So any help in getting, feedback,
Mhm.
at the Economic Vitality meeting, I raised the question, like, I think Emerson Hospital might be one of the largest employers in
They
town.
are
Have
the
you asked-
largest.
Have you asked them
Right,
about this? And they said, oh, that's a good idea.
right, yeah,
So working on the business side of
Mhm.
employers, I think is
Yeah.
an essential piece of this.
right,
And as you say, connections to other transportation, in addition to MBTA, which hopefully that's gonna get, MBTA is gonna get better, we gotta push for that. But if, my thought is if you wanna get from here to Lowell or Worcester or something, you shouldn't have to like go into Boston and.
Right.
right,
It
right,
doesn't quite,
That's
something
crazy.
doesn't add up.
yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
We certainly
Yeah,
want
thank
to keep that connection with your committee.
Okay,
And,
great.
I appreciate you coming tonight.
Oh, I
sharing this
appreciate,
with
I
us.
really appreciate the opportunity. And I will send you the links to those two videos that
Okay.
include the Junction Park discussion, which I think
Okay.
is.
And if you have the agenda for your meeting
For the next one,
next week,
yeah, it's
Yeah.
possible, I'll send that to you.
okay, thank you. Then I can send that out.
You can scan these things too.
Oh,
You,
great, thank you.
you have the links. I sent Jean the links, for those documents.
Okay.
Yeah, and I sent that to maybe I forgot to send it to you, Jess, I'm sorry.
That's
I'll do that. I sent it out to the commission.
I have more copies if anybody
I have
wants. it.
paper ones, so I'm good.
Okay.
Does anybody want paper copies?
I've got,
Okay.
Yeah.
thanks.
All right, anything else, anyone?
You mean like anything at all in the world or?
Well.
Cause I like your
anything-
sweater, Gina. I was gonna ask you where you got that.
Actually, I bought this at TJ Maxx. I went there to pick up something and walked in and there it was.
That has your name on it.
Yes, it did. So.
No, I was gonna say, Mark, we actually have our office Yankee swap a week from today, so I could send comments. Maybe that's, Gene, if you send out a note, I would just suggest maybe just saying if people could make it great, if not, a letter of support or a note or what, some
Sure,
ways for us who can't be there to show support.
right.
Mhm.
Okay, I can do that. So next meeting, I'm not able to meet on the 6th or the 9th of January. Can we plan the 16th of January?
Sure.
I can't make it that night, but
Oh.
yeah,
Well,
that's the office winter party. See, we have all
Oh.
these events on
That's
Thursday.
very-
You are just a party person then. What if we switch to a Tuesday? We could do January 14th. Oh, that might not be very.
Or we could just go one more week to the 23rd.
Yeah, we could do that.
Sure,
January 23rd,
5 o'clock,
What day? The 20th?
23rd,
Thursday, 23rd, 5 o'clock.
right.
I could do that.
There's.
Does this hybrid meeting format work for people?
Yes,
It's nice to have people in the room if they want to be, and the option to just be online as well.
Did you say, Jean, the next meeting was the 23rd
Yes,
of January?
January 23rd.
Okay.
okay, thank you all.
Thank you. Have a wonderful holiday and a happy new year, and we'll see you on January 23rd.
All right, thanks for joining us, Mark.
Are we adjourning, Jean? Jean, are
We
we?
are adjourning.